How is everybody doing? And welcome back for another Strength Chat episode. Today, I have got a very special guest for you. Today, I'm joined by the current French, European and World Champion. Today, I'm joined by the one and only Lya Bavoil. I hope I've said that right. I know we've spoken about that a little before.
Yeah, you did. Don't worry.
Yeah. How are you doing? What's been happening in your world recently?
I'm okay. A little bit tired, to be honest, but I'm okay. I can't complain.
Yeah. And how are you feeling after nationals as well? Because it's not long now until Worlds. So how are you feeling?
I'm okay. I'm very feeling like confident, and I'm looking forward to go to Worlds. Like I'm very hyped and very excited about it.
Oh, cool. And then was there any sort of downtime after nationals, or was it straight back into training? Because I think from when your nationals were, it's only a couple of months until Worlds now.
Yeah, it's like 3 weeks or 1 month ago, national. So no, I just came back straight to training after.
Yeah. Oh, that's a little bit better than me. Then I always need a little bit of a breather after a competition, but I suppose
No, I normally do actually. Like before, with my private coach, I always needed like 1 week of break after each competition. Um, but the strength guide doesn't really let me let me the choice. So they tell me at least to train like three. So I'm used to train 5 times, and they tell me at least 2 or 3 times, even if you want to take a little break. But actually, I don't feel so much like overwhelmed. Like breakout. I don't know if it's the right word in English, but like I'm feeling okay actually after competition with their type of training, so it's okay. Like,
oh, good. And especially because having had Jason on the podcast and a couple of the other strength guys, that's been a relatively new sort of coaching partnership. How are you finding working with the strength guys? Because that's a company that I was lucky enough to do an internship with the strength guys and learn a lot from them. How are you finding working with a guy with such experience as Jason?
yeah, so it's very different from what I was doing before. So I'm gonna caricature. Does it is this a word in English?
What's that? Sorry.
Caricature. I don't know how you say it in French.
Right.
Sorry. I just gonna Google it like very very fast. Sorry
It's
for people who
okay.
speak French. um, so caricature in English. Oh, actually, it's a word like caricature. I don't know how it sounds. How you say it.
It must just be me being from Yorkshire. It just must be new to me.
Okay, so with my previous coach, I was more like into RT and RTS system, and it was more so based on intensity. So the block were quite short, like between 4 and 6 weeks. And it was really based more so into intensity. Um, while with Jason and Ben, it's totally different with the strength guys. It's more the ratio between volume and intensity is very different. And the block are quite longer. Most of the time, it's more so like 8-12 weeks, depending of your competition, of course. But they do like more having like long block. The stress is different. Yeah, I don't feel like so with the intensity. I felt like quite very fast kind of burnout. So I was making a lot of progress in short time, but like it's more difficult. I felt it more difficult to manage like the stress and the fatigue and things like that. With the strength guys, you don't really see like during training your performance, like that you are making progress so much, because it's more I don't know how to say, like it's more subtle. It's more so you can see you are making progress because you are doing like more sets and more reps with something like you were not used to it before. But in terms of performance, like in one rep, you don't really know where you are until the competition day, actually. So the philosophy and the way of training is totally different. But I really like it. It's I doubt about it at first because I was not used to it, and I was like, I'm gonna take like an example. So at nationals, they planned me to do 210 on squats, and I was like, fuck, man, I didn't more than 200 since like words, actually, like since Europeans. The most I have done, it's like 2 or 3 sets of 2 or 3 reps at 190. And you tell me like to do 210, I was like not confident at all. And actually at nationals, I smoked 210. I didn't feel like so heavy at all. So it's totally different because you don't really know what you are capable to do at first, because you are not hitting like PRs, especially PRs on training. And you can compare with others, because at my gym everybody is coached by PANA, most people, and I was seeing them eating PRs and big lift, and I was like, oh, maybe I did a mistake. and actually I didn't. So yeah, I'm very, very happy, actually.
Oh, good. I suppose a little bit like what you said there, when it's a subtle difference in training, to then actually be able to do 210 in a competition, that's where you want to be hitting those PRs and lifting those weights on the platform.
Exactly, because you think when I was training that method, I was like, oh, if I'm training, I'm capable to do 200 and 210 like regularly. I'm for sure I will be able to do it in competition. So it brings you kind of confidence, in your lifts. But there is no surprise. Like, actually, if you are capable to do 200 or 210, the day of the meet, you won't have 220. Like, you will be able to do what you are capable on training. And it's amazing, like, to train a new way. You don't really focus on big lifts, but the day of the meet, you are capable to do it. So yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, cool. Especially seeing that difference in the training that you might have done before. I did a brief introduction, mentioning about the the national, European and world titles that you've got. But for anyone listening who might be new to powerlifting or might not know your background in powerlifting, how did you get involved in the sport and sort of your progress, through competitions?
So I started 7 or 8 years ago now. So I'm 28, and I started, I was like around 21, 22. And at first I was more so into fitness, bodybuilding. I discovered it, and like 2 or 3 months after I discovered fitness, I wanted to do powerlifting, because one of the coach at the gym was like, oh, you are pushing like heavy for a beginner. And I didn't know about powerlifting, like I didn't even know that sport exists. So he told me about it, and I was like, I love it, I want to do that. So I just give up on fitness and bodybuilding and go straight to powerlifting since.
Yeah. And with that, because obviously, you can see there on your face how, you enjoy powerlifting, and, watching you on the
passionate.
yeah, and you can see that comes across on the platform as well. But how have you felt with going from, you know, the very first competition that you competed in compared to competing on the world stage? Because I think, looking at your results, I think the lowest that you've ever finished in a competition has been third, or you've won, or you've come second. How was that sort of developed and built up, you know, as you've progressed through to nationals, Europeans, and then, you know, competing and winning world titles?
So when I started with that coach, I told him, okay, I want to compete, but if I compete, I want to win. And so during during 1 year we worked for nationals, and I win my first national title. And I didn't feel ready to go in an international platform because the French team offered me a spot for my first Europeans, like right after winning my first national. And I was I was not confident at all. I was like, I need more experience at a national level, and when I will very feel ready to go at international level, I will go. So it took me last 3 years, and I did my first European, and I came second. And after I did my first World in 2019, I came third, and yeah, so yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Actually.
Do you think, especially, you know, from gaining that experience, that the fact that you still enjoy powerlifting and are passionate about powerlifting, it sometimes takes the expectation off, or the pressure off, so that you still enjoy it, but then obviously because you're enjoying it, you know, um have that less stress to then win, if that makes sense?
Uh, can you repeat,
So
please? Actually, I'm not sure. Sorry.
do you think that because, you know, you took that time to gain more experience, that, you know, going forward, when you know, finishing third at Worlds, gaining that experience, and then going on to win, that, you know, that benefited you and increased your confidence a little bit more?
Yeah.
When,
So so yeah, definitely. So when I started pro lifting, I had that dream to be a world champion one day. I didn't know if I would be capable to do it. I didn't know if I will do it actually one day, but it was in my mind. It was like one day I want to win, and I will do everything I can in order to win. Um, but as I said, I didn't feel confident at all at first, um, to go to international platform, and I needed to build my confidence before, because I struggle with mental health, so I'm autistic, and at that time, um, people didn't know I was hiding it. I didn't want to talk about it, um, and it was very stressful because I was like thinking, imagine I go to Europeans, nobody knows that I'm autistic, and I have a crisis. I have a meltdown or shutdown, um, and you are alone. My parents are not there, and nobody will know how to handle that, you know. And even me, I know I will be alone. So it was very stressful to even think about it. So I needed also that time to be more confident with my disability, in order, like, okay, now, even if you have a crisis, even if you are not at home, even if you are in competition, whatever happened, I needed to be that confident in myself, like, you will be fine and you will be able to handle it alone, whatever happened, you know. So I worked with a therapist during that time, and yeah, when I felt ready with everything, I was like, okay, I can do it now. And I started to talk about it in my social media. I said it to the French team. Um, so now they know, and they know how to handle it if it's happened too. And I made friends too, because before, I had no friends on the French team. So now we are mostly friends, and they help me, they support me too if I need it. So
oh, cool. It's good, because I know, you know, following on from that, do you think, because I know from the gym that I work in Leeds, a lot of people get involved in strength training because it allows them to increase their confidence, because it's not just increasing confidence in the gym, but outside of the gym as well. And they find that really beneficial. Did you find that, it's really cool lifting, heavy weights for powerlifting and competing, but did you find that powerlifting sort of helped with the mental side of things and things outside of the gym as well?
Yeah, it does. It does help me in my day-to-day life, like in my normal life, but also with my disability. It helped me build confidence to open myself to others. Um, I learned like to communicate more with people, to be more open, and to manage my emotions.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful tool, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on the podcast, because there's been a lot of people coming into the gym, especially with lockdowns and COVID, that have maybe felt a little bit less confident, and to see them not just be confident underneath a barbell, but like what you say, I had to smile when you mentioned making friends on the French national team, because you do become part of a community in powerlifting, and get to make friends. And I think that is really important.
Yeah. That's something I really love about powerlifting. It's like you can feel it's a community, and it's always amazed me, because I was someone who grew up with no friends, and I was not like a superstar, in high school or anything. So sometimes it's weird when I'm under the spotlight to think about it, like, well, I'm known when I was nobody before,
Mm.
So sometimes it's weird, but it feels great. It feels great to feel like when people reach out and say, "Oh, you are coming to USA, can we train with us?" Or "We are coming to France, can we come to your gym?" And I love it. Like, I really love it.
Oh, cool. There's I must admit, from being because I like going to other gyms and training with other people, and for coming from a rugby background, I think the community side of things in powerlifting is something, even though you have teammates in a team sport, even though powerlifting is an individual sport, you do get become part of a wider community. One thing that I wanted to touch on as well, not so long ago, having an injury, and I know obviously there was a little bit of a change in technique, and then coming back and lifting the weights that you're lifting now. How did you find the injury and the adjustment, a slight change in technique, and then getting stronger from that?
So I do feel like I'm lucky, because in my career I didn't really struggle with injuries. So I broke my clavicle a few years ago, but it was not related to powerlifting. I just fall. But concerning powerlifting, I had like really one injury that I struggled with, and it was so in August 2020 until Worlds. So mostly during 1 year. So I had the hip impingement, and it was very, very painful. Like, it was not really painful only on training. It was in my day-to-day life,
Right.
when I was sitting too long, or when I was laying down. Um, like the pain was so awful that I was crying, like really. So at first it was hard, because and I think I'm a little bit stubborn too. I'm I was like, oh, it's nothing, it's gone away. Like, you are feeling something, but you're like, oh, it's okay, it's gone away. And I was still training and stuff, and it was just getting worse. So I was like, maybe after like 3 or 4 months, I was like, maybe I'm gonna check if there is anything. So I did all the medical stuff. They didn't find anything. And I was like feeling totally lost because I was in pain. I couldn't squat anymore. When I was squatting, I was not hitting depth because it was too painful. And nobody was capable to tell me like what I have. So Squat University reached out. So I reached that point. So it was in February 2021. I reached that point like so I did a competition and it just got worse, like really worse. So Squat University reached out, he did me some tests and he said, oh, you have a hip impingement. And I felt so grateful at that moment because I think it's the worst thing. It's when you are in pain and you don't know what you have. So the fact that you are able to say, okay, I have that. What can I work around? What can I do? Because when you are in pain and you don't know, you can do a lot of stuff, but you don't really know if it's going to work or not. So as soon as I had that diagnosed, it was easier to work around and work with the therapist and stuff like that. So he gave me exercises. I worked with a physiotherapist, and it took me mostly 6 to 8 months after, like, to really be pain-free at all. But it was hard. It was mentally hard because so it was physically hard, but I don't think it's the physical part that it's the most the hardest. Sorry. I do think it's a mental part because you're like, first I didn't know what I had. After when I had it, you start to doubt if I will be able to come back to my highest level, if it's gone away, if the pain gone away at some point, if I will be able to compete again. So yeah, it's mentally hard to manage, I think. But I'm happy now. I'm totally pain-free.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that, because especially when you said that was the first injury that you had, being quite lucky with that, sometimes there's lifters that I've worked with or spoken with other coaches and lifters, sometimes you can learn from that, and a little bit like what you mentioned about getting more experience on the international stage for competing. Do you think that you're stronger or sort of mentally and as well better for having that experience now that you've had that injury, so that you've maybe added things into your training to keep on top of it a little more?
Definitely. So first he helped me. Now I know as soon as I have a pain that doesn't get away in like a few weeks, you consult. You go to see the doctor. You do what you have to need, and you don't wait, because I waited too long. I waited too long to consult, and I just realized that most of the time, it's only mentally that it's hard to, because on training you can do a lot of stuff. You can reduce your volume, you can reduce intensity, you can work around like I did on squat. I was not at depth, but I could squat. So you just find like you are working around the injury. So I think the part I really learned about is how to manage it mentally, to not doubt, to not like feel burnout and depressed because you don't know if you will be able to come back, because most of the time you can't come back. So yeah, I learned a lot about it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And with that as well, I know we spoke a little bit at the start as well. Obviously, working with the strength guys and the coach that you very first worked with. What's been your progression? Working with different coaches, and as you've progressed a little bit more, and obviously you've mentioned working with Squat University. Has your training changed a lot over time I know obviously your training has changed now, but has it changed a lot, or has it been pretty similar in terms of how many times you would train a week and your recovery and your nutrition, and how has that changed over time?
It changed a lot. So when I started powerlifting in France, I don't know how it is in England and USA, but in France, like 7-8 years ago, we didn't have so much resources about powerlifting. And I was training mostly like if I was an equipped lifter. So
Right.
I was a raw lifter, but my training was more so based on equipped, what we can find on equipped. After I changed and the method were more based on RTS, so more in intensity, yes, in intensity. And now that I changed, it's totally different. So as an athlete, I really like it because it's challenging and it changes your perception, your knowledge. Like, we all have like our own belief system. And all my belief system, each time I change from the coach, challenge, like my belief system is already challenged.
Yeah.
And I really like it. I really like it because I think it's what makes you be a better coach, a better athlete. It's like not staying in your line all the time. It's like, oh, okay, I believe that, but maybe there is something else that can work. Like, so I really like it.
Yeah, I suppose that's how you grow and develop as a powerlifter and get better, by learning from other
Yeah.
things. Exactly, like rather than staying in
Yeah.
in that view.
And what I realized too is who you were 2 years ago, it's not the person you are now. And sometimes there is some stuff you needed 2 years ago and now you don't need it anymore. You need something else. And that's what I felt with PANA, from PANA to TSG. What PANA offered me when I started working with them in 2 words, it's what I needed at that time. And afterward, I felt I need something else. I need to grow. I need to go further. I need to yeah, to challenge me and challenge my belief system and everything. So yeah, I think you don't have to stay like in one way. You need to have a full vision of powerlifting, and always think that um, what you need yesterday is not what we will need tomorrow, and just listen to yourself and your intuition and not be afraid of the change.
Has that been the same with nutrition and recovery, or has that always been something that you've always kind of been on top of? Because especially I know from say that again, sorry.
Not at all. At first when I started, so I gained like mostly 6 to 7 kilos in 6-7 years of powerlifting. So I was around 60 kilos. So it was easy. I didn't even have to cut for 63, Now I'm more around 66, 67. So yeah, I gained muscles, my body changed, and you realize with the years that nutrition, it's part of being an athlete. You can't skip. I think at first you don't need really to focus on it because like there is so much stuff like you are learning and stuff. So if you eat like normal, it's okay. But at some point, I really think you have to focus on nutrition, focus on recovery if you want to break some stuff, like to go further, and to break some barriers and stuff like that. So I'm very focused on my nutrition. I try to, and recovery for me is essentially my sleep.
Yeah.
So I try to get enough sleep in order to recover.
I think that's a good point. What you mentioned, how you were 2 years ago, you're going to have to develop and, eating the same things, get to a certain point, but then sometimes, you're going to have to change or, add that in. I know we mentioned it at the start as well, but we've not long to go to Worlds. And then beyond that as well, what can we expect to see from Lya? What can we expect to see on the platform? Do you have any goals or anything that you've got in mind, or are you playing those cards a little bit close to your body?
So I choose to compete as a 63 at Worlds and not in 69. But to be honest, Worlds is not my priority. Um, it's a step for Sheffield. It's a must step for Sheffield, but the real competition I'm looking for is Sheffield. So I will be strategic at Worlds.
Cool. Well, Sheffield's only down the road from me, so I'll be looking forward to seeing what you're doing Sheffield, because it's not a million miles away. The last question that I like to ask. So we've talked there about your progression through powerlifting, how passionate you are, and with injuries and the challenges and successes that you've had. But for everyone listening who might be getting involved in powerlifting, what would be your take-home points or words of wisdom?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
For everything that we've spoken about today, about how you've competed in powerlifting, what would be your take-home points or words of wisdom for people looking to get involved in powerlifting?
I don't know. Good question. I will just say give it a try. Like if you because so most message I have it's is it too late to get into powerlifting? It's never too late. Do you think I have the level to compete? You have the level to compete. Like, don't compare yourself and just enjoy the process, and do it. Like, give it a try, like, really. And I'm pretty sure like you will love it.
Yeah. I think that's some really good words of wisdom to finish on, because right at the start of the chat, like what you said, you gave it a go, and look where powerlifting has taken you. Thanks a lot for taking the time to jump on and chat on the podcast. If anyone has any questions about getting involved in powerlifting, or want to see the content and the training footage that you put out there, where could people find you or reach out to you?
On Instagram, essentially, Lya Bavoil.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Lya, for taking the time to jump on. Thanks a lot to everyone.
You.
No worries at all. And thanks a lot to everyone listening, and I will catch up with you all next week.